Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a very special and, well, sad program bringing you tonight. We didn't want to be here, but today we found out that Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt, to the fans around the world, passed away at the age of 36 from complications, a heart attack due to complications from a previously unreported bout of COVID. And we thought it would be necessary and prudent for us to jump on here and honor the man and one of the biggest superstars in wrestling and a great fan favorite. And joining me for this special episode, as always, is Jared. Jared, this is tragic. We don't really know what to say here, do we? We lost Terry Funk yesterday, and not Bray Wyatt today. This isn't what we. This is not good.
Yeah, it's left thousands, millions speechless,
Yeah,
and it's just hard to put it into words.
and representing the workers here tonight to tell us about impact on the industry, FTG Frodo the Ghost. Man, thanks for coming on to talk about Bray.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I was just doing a little grocery shopping, and my lady said it to me while we were looking at. I don't even remember what shelf we were at, and I'm like, "Yo, make sure that's not fake."
Yeah,
And then when I seen the screenshot of Triple H's tweet, it doesn't feel real to me, man.
yeah, and I mean, he'd been out since February due to illness, and there were people that thought the illness was storyline or was just him not wanting to come back to work or whatever. But it's pretty clear now that the man was sick.
Yeah,
Uh, and oh god, the speculation that broke out when it was announced, everyone speculating on cause of death, and of course, everyone goes there when it's a wrestler. So I mean,
it's when he took that hiatus and they said he was sick, they tend to not use illness as a scripted thing to keep people off.
yeah,
Usually when someone's sick, they're being serious, and they're not. I've never seen any, not even in the indies, and I don't disbelieve someone's tried it before, uh, but usually that comes with a whole lot of video and gimmick to play along with it. But like Bray was a one of a kind talent, and
absolutely,
I think everybody who watches WWE like as a full blown fan was they were all really excited for him to come back. I mean,
yeah,
I wanted to see what they were going to end up doing because he kind of came back and started that new character ish, but I don't think he didn't really have long enough to make an impact with the new stuff he was getting ready to do, and
hmm
then he fell ill, and I don't even. There's plenty of speculation of whatever that illness was because it was never really publicly disclosed unless I missed something.
yeah. Fightful is reporting that he had a very bad bout of COVID earlier this year that led to heart conditions, and he had a heart attack. That's what Fightful's reporting now. So
Okay.
I mean, Jared, the speculation and all that. What do we do with that? Are we supposed to just roll with the punches, or is it like, hey man, give it some time?
I'd say give it some time, really. There's it's just really heartbreaking, especially for someone still so young and that still had a lot of heart for this business, and one of the very few that still had heart for this
Yeah.
business, honestly. And a lot of people speculated from the beginning that just went too many ways. So I'd say just give it time.
So we'll start. Frodo, give me your favorite Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda memories that we're gonna go back and watch on Peacock over the next couple weeks.
Oh man. Outside of the wrong turns they made with the Fiend,
Yeah,
it's not like I did not dislike the Fiend character, but uh, I don't think it was used properly, and there was a lot of. I'll share a favorite and a least favorite, and you got to bear with me. I get hit in the head a lot, so and that's a lot of Bray Wyatt I've watched back in the day. Really,
Yeah.
you know what? Him versus the Undertaker was great.
Mm-hmm.
I only wish out of some like dream booking, I guess is that the proper term?
Yeah. Fantasy booking.
Fantasy booking. I would have loved to see the like if we could go back in time and make the Fiend himself versus the Undertaker actually happen. I think that would have been something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But given the period of time, you know, obviously could never happen. Even if Wyndham was still living,
Yeah.
you know. But I'll say this: I was a fan of him in general, given what I do in the ring, and I'm obviously very outside of gimmick right now.
Yeah.
Given the kind of persona that I put off in the ring, he's got some influence on it. I'll definitely say that. Like any gimmick that was unhinged or just over the top crazy like
Yeah.
that, even kind of dark, it had some influence on me.
Yeah. Because I think either Bray or the Fiend you could call one of the best movie monster gimmicks ever.
Oh yeah,
Because you had the slasher villain in the Fiend, and you had the Cape Fear type Max Cady that Bray Wyatt was, the Swamp Monster, and you could put both those and say, hey, if you're gonna make a movie monster wrestler, this is who it's gonna be.
I even think the whole Mr. Rogers approach on the other half of the whole Fiend stuff was great.
Because it was so creepy.
It was creepy. He was
Yeah.
playing two different personas, and like one of them's like talking about, yeah, hey, I'm the Fiend, or no, he's not saying he's the Fiend. He's not saying he's the Fiend. I said that wrong. The Fiend's coming,
Yeah.
and that's not me, but he's there, you know.
So Jerry, what about you? What's some favorite memories of Bray?
Oh, there's a lot of them, but to name a few, I'd say definitely when he won the Elimination Chamber.
And the championship.
Yes, and the second moment, I would definitely say the entire rivalry with him versus Daniel Bryan when they had that cage match and Bryan eventually had to join the Wyatt family.
Yes. And I will say my favorites was almost from the beginning. I'm a promo guy. I love promos, and those pre-tapes that they did to debut that character was some of the best character work. The rocking chair in the background in the black and white, and the lantern, and they're like, we're here, and they blow it out. That shit was creepy. It was awesome.
That was the shit. That was
Yeah.
the shit.
So before we go any further, we got some people want to speak in. The Snitch, what an incredibly sad week for wrestling. Absolutely. He's not wrong. And he also says, Bray Wyatt had a pretty big influence on my gimmick, and especially my promos. I'm, of course, nowhere near his level in promos. Who the fuck is? I mean, and Dallas Stevens, Dr. Dallas Stevens, I'm still in shock. So talented. And our friend John Boy, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. So we talk about those pre-tapes and those promos. Supposedly, Bray was one of the only people that when Vince was still fully in charge, was allowed to write his own stuff because the writers could not write for him because you couldn't do that. So, I mean, where are we going to place Bray on the list of talkers and Mike Masters? Start with you, Jared. What do you think? Where's he going to rank eventually?
On my list, definitely top 3 of all time. I'd even place him in the top 2, really.
Okay.
It's hard to compete with what he was able to do and how he was able to kind of keep in character 99.999% of the time and know how to persuade himself to be that emotional character than that
Mhm.
vicious side of himself.
All right, Frodo, what do you think?
Man, there's a lot I could say. especially his early career.
Hmm.
Those promos and just the way his delivery on them were one of a kind, and it definitely portrayed that Southern element to that particular character in general. Like he just screamed someone who lives on a house on stilts with
Hmm.
a boat dock on a swamp. You know what I mean? And like that shit to me was like, okay, that's cool as hell. I really like that. And then like, because here's the thing, like his beginning with as the Bray Wyatt character and his end are very similar. Like the stuff they did when he came back for the brief moment, and his in ring promos were a little bit similar to the original Bray Wyatt character,
Hmm.
which he wanted to paint, have a splash of that color paint on what he was bringing on his return. But then when you go in the middle of that to the Fiend and the Mister Rogers looking gimmick, it's two different. It's two different styles altogether, and the fact that he could be two different breeds of, or yeah, really two, yeah, because like the Fiend really didn't cut promos or speak.
Didn't have to.
No, not at all.
Yeah. It wasn't even like Taker level with simple words and phrases. I don't think I recall the Fiend speaking at all. But I
And
will
it
say
still
this.
kept the element of the old Bray in there.
Yes, yes, because he could flip it around because they had the buzzards and that in the clubhouse that were calling back to Bray. But I'll say this, and Jared touched on it a little bit. They gave him a lot of questionable things to do with his gimmick. But I think one of the things we can say best about him was he really could turn chicken salad out of chicken shit. He took a lot of stuff that should not have worked and made it work. So I mean, Frodo. I mean, that's got to be who. That's going to be one of his legacy things. Is he made so many good things out of stuff that just was not worth it, right? I mean,
I mean, he was just like the right guy to do it. It wasn't like, I mean, again, like there was some pretty outrageous things in there, like,
mhm.
but he was the right guy to do it. Like the Muscle Man dance thing.
Yes,
That getting inside. Was that? I mean, was that Lashley? Was that?
John Cena.
I thought he did that with Cena, but I thought I heard Wrestle Talk saying he did that with Lashley too.
I
But
mean, yeah, but I mean,
like yeah, I remember it was for Cena, and like boy, was that a fun feud right there. Him and John Cena for a little bit.
yes. Jared, what do you think? I mean, this guy could make anything work.
Oh, 100%. He could make literally anything work, whether a cinematic match, whether straight up one on one. Like, just look at when he first got brought in to then where he was released and where he came back.
Hmm.
Look at his earlier days. Then, when you really think about Bray Wyatt and his style of promos and matches, he really stood out from the others.
Yeah.
It's like many people can't do what Bray Wyatt could do in terms of an aspect of what's the best word to define for that would possibly be literally just everything
Yeah.
if you think
And
about it.
we have to talk about this. John says again, look at him in the Cena match. Firefly Funhouse in the height of COVID, when wrestling isn't really wrestling, when it's in a studio with no fans, the main event of that WrestleMania, COVID Mania, that was worth watching. That Firefly Funhouse match, I could still watch that. There's not many things from COVID Mania that I could watch again, but I could watch that. Frodo, go ahead. You're shaking your head.
I mean, just imagine being any worker working for WWE at that time,
Yeah.
and working any promotion that like because it was only the majors. Like I worked one match all of 2020,
Yeah.
one or one show I should say, because there was a battle royal and a match, but that's it. That
Yeah.
that's it because that was when I was kind of coming back into everything, and I wanted to get started sooner, but then the pandemic hit. We even stopped training for a while. It was bad, and just like him being able, like Bray being able to make the Thunderdome work for him in his
Yeah.
favor, and it seemed to like it didn't throw a stick in his spokes at all, because that kind of stuff was kind of what they were going for anyway for him. They were going for those in studio segments that they recorded before Raw, or SmackDown, wherever he was.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, once they aired that stuff, he didn't necessarily have to be there. If they didn't have like an actual him appearing segment,
Yeah.
he
It
got
was like,
paid for he got paid for his face going up on the screen.
yes,
It didn't even have to be like that. That's one of those rare occasions. Like, well, he's not here, but we're using his image, so he's got to get paid.
yeah. So I mean, Jared, how many times have you watched that Firefly Funhouse match back, even before today? Jared Shannon.
I've probably watched the Firefly Funhouse, the match against Cena, or
Yeah.
the segments.
The Cena match, the WrestleMania match.
Personally, I've probably watched that a handful of times.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, the first time I watched that, I was confused, but that entertained confusedment.
Yes, I mean you have NWO Cena, you had you had the Muscle Man dance, you had all this stuff, and it's just thoroughly, yeah, there you go, thoroughly entertaining, wonderful stuff. And a lot of people have said that he wasn't the same, maybe emotionally or even in ring after what happened with Brody, Luke Harper, Brody Lee. It did seem to affect him, but man, we're left with a void of two great guys now. There's two members of the family down.
And I just picture Brody meeting him on the other side. Like, yeah,
Why are you here?
yeah. And it's like there's only two members of the family left, and that scares me. That
Yeah.
scares the living shit out of me, because I don't even think, how long's Brody been gone for? Not even 5 years?
No.
Yeah. So that scares the living shit out of me for Eric Redbeard and Braun Strowman, man.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. So Jared, what do you think the lasting impact? How long will we be talking about Bray Wyatt? Because we'll wrap this up because it was only meant to be a quick memorial episode. But how long will we be talking about this man?
Forever. It's never going to stop. He had one of the greatest minds in this business, creative and in ring wise.
Yeah, it's terrible because you never know what could have been down the road with this character. When he came back, it could have been a fresh start. It could have been not that he needed a fresh start. He was a two-time world champion in WWE. He main evented pay-per-views. He was a huge star, but it could have been like pushed to a new level because the man again was only 36.
Yeah,
That meant that
too fucking soon, man.
yeah, that in legitimate sports, in quotes, that might be older, but in wrestling, that's just starting.
Yeah,
for a lot of guys.
There's rumors that when he was going to return, it was going to be him versus Cody, and I was personally looking forward to that. You have a demented type character versus this American nightmare, and I could have seen that more as a WrestleMania main event type match.
Sure.
And that was actually one of my dream matches that I've had on my list to see for a long time.
That's gonna be my last. That's gonna be my last question. What was the one match we never got to see with Bray Wyatt that you would have wanted to see? We'll start with Shannon. Go ahead, Jared.
Cody Rhodes versus Bray Wyatt as the Fiend.
As the Fiend. Okay, that'd have been fucking cool. As Frodo said, that'd have been cool as hell. Frodo, what about you? What's something like? Would you wanted to see that Taker match? What would you have wanted to see? Sting?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that Fiend the actual Fiend versus the Undertaker would have been amazing to see. I would have loved to see like what he was going to bring to the table for his return.
Hmm.
Maybe even though Edge is leaving, I would have loved to see that against Edge. Maybe even an AJ Styles. Hell, man, like even see him fuck with Roman a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean,
I
he,
like,
you know,
you need guys right now. They need guys for Roman to beat leading up to whenever he's going to lose that title. I mean, obviously, like whatever they would have done between now and Mania, if they would have done something with him and Bray, he obviously wouldn't have lost the title. But the mind games that Bray could have played, all of that, it would have been kind of cool. But yeah, that Undertaker Fiend match would have been beautiful. And I totally agree, Jared, that Cody and Bray. Oh, I didn't even hear about that. That just sounds awesome.
all right, so I partially lied. We'll have one more statement, and we'll get a quick round table. But this is what's unique about wrestling is that some people on this panel have met Bray a couple times, but we really didn't know him. But we feel like we did because we're so connected to this industry and this business, as fans, as Frodo as a performer, me as a ref, and Jared has a lot of things going on in the wrestling business. But to me it speaks a lot about this industry that we all feel like we know each other, and like Bray was one of us. Bray was a part of this elite group that we're all a part of, that we get the pleasure of performing in front of people and the pleasure of being a part of people's lives that and entertaining them, that it means a lot to us as well, as much as it means to the people out there on the other side of the rail. So, I mean, Jared Shannon, just you want to say something in closing just about Bray or about wrestling and the connection to its people? Go ahead.
You know, a lot of things, a lot of people behind the scenes in the wrestling business, it truly goes unseen, just shooting a text message to people saying, "Hey, how are you doing?" That goes a long way, no matter if you know that person on a personal level or not. So I just would say always reach out to people no matter what, check in on people, and even the wrestlers, they have feelings too.
Yeah.
Some people like Miles, it's questionable, but you
Hey,
know,
I wouldn't be I wouldn't be here doing this right now if I didn't have feelings. I love this industry. I love all of you guys. I love some of the fans, not all of them. But Frodo, before we get out of here, just talk about the connection of wrestling and its fandom and the performers.
Um, well, first off, what Jared said, check on your people, check on your loved ones. I'd say all of us as performers as a whole have been rattled by this whole week in
Yeah.
general, and you know, uh, like I said, let's talk like I'm saying in my head. Let's talk a little bit about Terry Funk, okay?
Yes.
I'll admit I have not watched enough of Terry Funk's stuff, and
There's so much of it.
shame on me for that. Real shit. Um, but like, I don't think Terry Funk's being talked about enough um,
Well,
in this current point in time. But the fact is that he's not the only one that we just lost. Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, way too young. He's,
that Terry Funk was a tragedy. But and this is going to sound very cross and callous, but he was in his late 70s and he was ill for a long time.
oh yeah, I actually personally I for some reason I thought he was already gone,
Yeah.
but I think I think it was just a moment of like he almost died. I can't remember,
Hmm.
but for something in my head said, didn't he go already?
Yeah.
I thought this was already a thing, but
And that's not being callous. That's just the
no,
man was
no, he
yeah, the man was ill and the man was old. So, but man, it's Bray leaves behind 4 young children.
wow,
And
4. I thought he
yes,
just had a baby too.
yeah, not yeah, last year. And he has 4 young children and his wife, former WWE ring announcer JoJo Offerman. And our
That
thoughts are
poor
with
woman.
yeah, our thoughts are with his family, his friends, his father, IRS, Mike Rotunda. Uh, so before we get out of here tonight, like everyone has said, hug your people, let them know you love them. We're not going to do any plugs of social media or coming events. That's just not the time for it. But we'll be back with a regular show sometime next week. And hey, Frodo, thanks for coming on, man. It was great to hear your voice and great to share some memories of Bray. And hey, Jared, love you, bud. We'll see you next time, guys. I'm Christopher Miles, and until next time, guys, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt.